Okay, so picture this. You walk into a bar, the lights are dim, there are people sitting at the stools, they look a little rough, sure, but nothing too alarming. And then you realize those are not people. Those are walkers, dead ones, and the bartender, he is completely unbothered. He is playing a drinking game with them. Showrunner Seth Hoffman, who is back on the Walking Dead franchise after writing some of the original show's most beloved episodes, described Dillard in a very specific way. He said, and I am paraphrasing here, that Dillard is a man who found an ingenious way to survive completely on his own. But there is a psychological cost to years of isolation, and that cost is visible. Hoffman framed it like this: Renata, the new character played by Amy Garcia, is essentially a mirror for Maggie, and Dillard is a mirror for Negan. They are dark reflections of the path not taken, or in Dillard's case, the path that was taken just to its absolute extreme conclusion. Negan, at the start of Season 3, is at a crossroads. He has grown, he has changed, but he is also deeply disillusioned. After everything in Manhattan, after everything with Maggie and the Saviors and all of it, he is at a point where he kind of feels like people are the problem. He is toying with the idea of just leaving. And then he meets Dillard, who did exactly that, who chose isolation, who made it work technically, who survived, and who is now sitting in a dim bar having one-sided conversations with dead people, because that is what years without human connection actually does to someone. Lauren Cohan, who plays Maggie, called Dillard her favorite new Walking Dead character ever, not just in Dead City, in the entire franchise. That is not a small statement from someone who has been part of this universe for over a decade. So the question the show is setting up is not whether Dillard is dangerous. He clearly is. The question is whether his particular brand of danger is going to pull Negan back toward chaos or push him toward something better. And the fact that Negan smiles while accepting that drink suggests the pull is real. Here is what makes Negan one of the most fascinating characters in this franchise's entire history. And I mean the comics too, not just the show. Negan is not a conventional villain, he never was. Robert Kirkman built him in the comics as someone who is genuinely charismatic, who has a code, who believes, truly believes, that what he does is necessary. He is wrong, but he believes it, and that internal consistency is what makes him compelling. Jeffrey Dean Morgan took that foundation and added layers that the character did not even have on the page. By Season 8 of the original show, the audience was genuinely split on Negan. People were rooting for him. And when the show pivoted to a redemption arc that stretched years, it either worked for you or it did not, depending on your investment. Dead City has been the most nuanced version of Negan we have ever seen. Because now he is not the villain and he is not fully the hero either. He is a man trying to figure out what he is supposed to be when the thing that defined him, power, fear, control, is gone. And Dillard walks in and offers him a completely different model. Not power over people, not fear, just nothing, disconnection, solitude, a life lived entirely on your own terms with zero accountability. The reason that is dangerous is because it is genuinely appealing to someone who is exhausted. And Negan is exhausted. Now let us zoom out, because this Dillard storyline is one piece of a much bigger puzzle in Season 3. The premiere is locked in for July 26, 2026 on AMC and AMC+. 8 episodes. New showrunner in Seth Hoffman, who previously wrote some of the most critically loved episodes of the original series, including No Way Out, which is considered one of the best Walking Dead episodes ever produced. The central mission of the season is Maggie's proposal to Negan: help me build a real community in Manhattan. Not a gang, not a settlement. A community, with systems, with trust, with people who actually want to be there. That idea immediately puts them in conflict with forces that benefit from Manhattan staying chaotic. And it introduces 2 new key players. Amy Garcia's Renata, a natural leader with her own community and mysterious ties to past characters, and Raul Castillo's Lewis, a doctor who becomes particularly important to Herschel's story arc. Speaking of surprises, Emily Kinney is returning as Bate Green. Bate died back in Season 5 of the original show, and her death hit the fandom extremely hard. The show has not touched that character since. Her return is confirmed through set photos, and AMC has not officially said a word about it, which means whatever they are doing with Bate, they want to control how and when that reveal lands. That alone is worth getting hyped about. The Walking Dead universe has had a complicated few years. The original show ended. Fear the Walking Dead ran for 8 seasons and wrapped up. The spin-offs have had mixed reception. Daryl Dixon is actually quite good but has a smaller audience. Dead City Season 1 was a strong start, and Season 2 was polarizing. Some loved where it went, others felt it lost the thread. That is not a fever dream. That is the first real look we have gotten at Walking Dead. Dead City Season 3 And honestly, it might be the most unsettling, most fascinating thing this franchise has done in years. So today, we are diving deep. We are talking about the wildest new character introduced to the Dead City universe, what his presence means for Negan, and why this season feels like it could actually save this show. Because there is a lot at stake here, pun absolutely intended. Season 3 has something the previous seasons did not. A showrunner with deep roots in what made the original show work. A cast addition who immediately elevates the material just by being on screen, and a premise that finally gives Maggie and Negan somewhere meaningful to go together rather than just circling each other. The Dillard dynamic is key to all of it. Because if Dillard is what happens when you give up on people entirely, and if Negan is standing at the edge of that same decision, then every interaction between them is a story about whether connection is worth the cost, whether rebuilding is worth the pain, whether the civilized part of civilization can survive what the apocalypse does to human psychology. That is not a zombie show question, that is a human question, and the best Walking Dead has always known the difference. So here is where we land. Dead City Season 3 is shaping up to be something genuinely interesting, not just because Negan and Maggie are finally on the same side after years of orbiting each other like two very unstable planets, and not just because the show is adding powerhouse performers like Jimmy Simpson to a cast that already has a lot going for it. It is because the core question of this season is one that the entire franchise has been building toward since 2010. Can the people who survived the worst of what human beings are capable of actually build something worth surviving for? Dillard is the answer if the answer is no, and Maggie is the argument that maybe the answer can be yes, and Negan is the guy standing in the middle with a beer trying to figure out which way to fall. July 26 cannot come fast enough. If this breakdown hit right for you, make sure you subscribe because we are going deep on every episode of Dead City Season 3 as it drops. And drop in the comments, are you excited about Dillard? Do you think Negan is going to stay on the side of rebuilding, or is the chaos going to pull him back in? I genuinely want to know where your head is at. See you in the next one. Before we get into the chaos, let us do a quick rewind for anyone who needs the context. Dead City is the AMC spin-off that follows Maggie and Negan, two people who, if you watched the original Walking Dead, you know have one of the most complicated relationships in television history. Negan murdered Maggie's husband Glenn with a barbed wire baseball bat called Lucille. That is not a small thing to get past. And yet, here they are. 2 seasons in, reluctantly allied, operating in a post-apocalyptic Manhattan that has been completely cut off from the rest of the country for years. An island full of walkers, warlords, and people who have been surviving in ways that stretch the definition of survival. Season 2 ended on a massive emotional beat. Maggie had the opportunity to kill Negan. She had his iconic bat in her hands, and she did not do it. She let him live. Whether that was mercy, strategy, or something she is still figuring out herself, the show left that deliberately murky. And now in Season 3, the two of them are supposedly on the same team. The goal, per AMC's official synopsis, is to build the first functioning community in Manhattan since the apocalypse began. Think about what that means, not just surviving, not just holding a block or a building. Actually building something, civilization in a dead city. That is a huge tonal shift for the show. It is less about chasing a villain and more about confronting the harder question, what does rebuilding even look like when the people doing it have done terrible things to get here? Now, at IGN Live 2026, AMC dropped an exclusive clip that gave us the clearest preview of what Season 3 is going to feel like tonally. And it centers entirely on a scene between Negan and a brand new character named Dillard, played by Jimmy Simpson. If that name sounds familiar, Simpson is the actor you know from Westworld, where he played the young William, the man who would become the Man in Black. He was in Black Mirror's USS Callister. He played a recurring role in It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. The man has range, and his casting in Dead City immediately raised eyebrows when it was announced late last year. In this clip, Negan arrives at what appears to be a bar. He seems to be sheltering there, trying to avoid walkers. Standard stuff, but then Dillard shows up. And here is where things get strange. Dillard is not afraid of the walkers. In fact, he has made them part of his daily routine. He has figured out some method to keep them calm enough to just exist around him, and he is treating them like bar patrons, having conversations with them, playing games with them, serving drinks. And the camera catches Negan's face through all of this. First, there is visible discomfort, then curiosity, And this is the key moment, Negan accepts a beer from this clearly unhinged man and smiles, in an environment where every rational human being would be backing toward the exit. That single scene tells you everything you need to know about where Season 3 is going, because what you are watching is not just two odd people meeting. You are watching a mirror moment. Negan is looking at a version of himself he has not fully confronted yet.